Earlier today, Carney was asked when the appropriate time would be to face Trump on the issue of Canadian sovereignty. This is what he had to say.
Well, I've been clear. Personally, I've been clear. The ministers behind me, I think, to an individual, when asked, have been clear that we will never, ever, in any way, shape, or form, be part of the United States. America is not Canada. Look at the ceremony we just had. You could not have had that ceremony. You would not have that ceremony in America. Look at the cabinet behind me. You would not have that cabinet in America. You do not have that cabinet in America. We are a very fundamentally different country. So irrespective of any issues economically, fundamentally to our core, to our identity, c'est une des raisons, is one reason why we have a minister, and I will thank Mr. Guilbeault to be our Minister of Canadian Identity and Culture and bringing in all those aspects.
No question. Carney is taking on a challenging task, navigating the Canada-U.S. trade war. Many Canadians are wondering whether he is the right man for the job. My next guest might have a little insight into that. Miville Tremblay reported to Mark Carney, worked for him essentially during his time at the Montreal office of the Bank of Canada. And this was during the financial crisis of 2008. He is now a senior fellow at the C.D. Howe Institute, and he joins us today from Montreal. Miville, good to talk to you.
Hello, Sarah. Thank you for having me.
So, as you were watching this, I assume you were watching this morning as Mark Carney was being sworn in, becomes the next Prime Minister. What's going through your mind?
Well, that is most likely the man of the situation. I mean, let's imagine that you have a tumor, a cancer tumor, and let's call it Trump. Whom do you want to remove it? An experienced surgeon or someone you want to have a beer with?
So talk to me about this experienced surgeon as you describe him. You've worked with him. I think a lot of Canadians, know who he is, have sort of known of him kind of in the periphery as the Bank of Canada governor. But what was it like to work with him?
Well, he's a no-nonsense, tough, very demanding boss who wants to know everything all the time, but he's a strategic thinker. For him, a plan beats no plan, but he's also a decision maker. Therefore, if a situation evolves, he will quickly adjust. And more importantly, maybe, is that his decisions are always anchored in his deep-seated values, which are first and foremost the public interest. So i.e. he works for all of us Canadians.
He's never held any political position before, and that can present its own form of challenges. What kind of leadership do you expect from him in the context of being a political leader?
Well, it's for the Canadian to decide what kind of leaders they want. If they want just a nice guy, well, he's a bit austere sometimes, although he can be charming at other times. But I think he'll be strong. He's a goalie, so he'll able to handle most of whatever Trump throws at us. But he also has a plan for things that Canada can control, which is its own economy, which has suffered in the recent years, has been neglected, needs to be more performing. And I think he's got the right economic ideas to improve the economy and have our exports move to different countries. He's got the contacts in Europe and in Asia with the relevant people, and so he can hit the road running.
So, in other words, pursuing trade with other countries. In a time when you have these threats coming from the U.S. and they are sometimes on, they are sometimes off in terms of tariffs and when they might come into effect, and that really is playing, I think, havoc with the Canadian economy. So, how does he navigate those challenges?
Well, you can't control Trump. Nobody can. So, therefore, again, I'm coming back to my image of a goalie, which he was as a student, is to try to stop as many pucks that are thrown at you as you can, and you look for an opening to make a deal. And you've got to make sure that there are things that are non-negotiable, and Canadian sovereignty is the first one. And I think he'll be a strong leader to defend Canadian interests. But there won't be any miracle, and it will be tough.
On one hand, and I think you're right, and many analysts are talking about the fact that this is going to be an election when it happens, which is Trump is going to be if not the central issue, certainly a core part of both campaigns, or all the campaigns rather, for all the leaders. But Pierre Poilievre, a leader of the Conservative Party, he has been talking about the fact that Mark Carney, now PM Carney, just like Justin, is what he has said many times here. You've worked with them. What's the differences? Is he just like Justin, or what would you say to that phrase?
Well, I haven't worked for Justin, so my expertise here is more limited. But Carney is very much his own man. He's been around throughout the world and across the country many times. I've made visits with him with business leaders, so he's got his ear close to the ground and knows the world, and who knows how to make deals, and is very different than Justin, which I respect otherwise, but, it's really a different person.
Miville, just one more question. Do you know how you'll vote in an upcoming election?
I'm sorry?
Do you know how you'll vote in an upcoming election federally?
I prefer to remain neutral, but I guess you can guess what are my preferences.
Thank you very much for your time. That's Miville Tremblay, a former central banker and senior fellow at the C.D. Howe Institute, joining us today from Montreal. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.